The command to kneel. The chamber of the Galactic Council was vast, built from silver stone and glowing crystal. Its ceiling stretched high above, filled with banners of every species in the galaxy. The seats curved in a great circle, hundreds of alien leaders gathered like vultures, their eyes fixed on the single small section reserved for Earth. Ambassador Joran Hale stood there, a lone human in a room of giants. His black uniform seemed plain compared to the golden robes, jeweled armor, and shining scales of the others. Yet his back was straight, his face calm. The High Speaker of the Council rose, his voice booming through the chamber. His forearms spread wide as his long tongue flicked with disdain. "Humanity must obey," he declared. "You will surrender your fleets. You will pay tribute to the Council. You will kneel, as all lesser worlds have knelt." A ripple of approval swept through the chamber. Alien voices echoed, some laughing, others shouting demands. "Strip their weapons," one cried. "Make them slaves," shouted another. "They should be grateful to exist at all," hissed a third. Joran Hale did not move. His face was unreadable, his eyes cold. The High Speaker leaned forward, voice dripping with arrogance. "We warned you before. Disobey again and the Council will erase your world. Do you understand, human?" The chamber filled with silence. Everyone leaned closer, eager to hear the humans surrender, but Joran only said, "Your words are heard." Then he turned and walked away. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The High Speaker slammed a clawed hand against the table. "This is not finished. Humanity cannot refuse the Council." But Joran did not stop. He left the chamber without bowing, without looking back. The doors closed behind him, heavy and final. Outside, in the quiet corridors, Joran's steps were steady. His comm implant buzzed softly, a coded signal from Earth. "Command, did they give the order?" asked a voice deep and firm. "Yes," Joran replied. "They told us to kneel." "And your reply?" Joran's lips curved slightly, though his eyes stayed cold. "The reply is already in motion. Far away in the Sol system, massive shipyards floated above Earth and Mars. For months they had appeared silent, shut down, as if humanity had abandoned its fleets. But deep within, behind sealed hangars, construction had never stopped. Engines, the size of cities, hummed. Railguns longer than mountains gleamed under floodlights. The shadows of supercarriers, black and endless, waited like beasts behind chains. On the bridge of one such ship, Admiral Kale Dren stood watching the stars. His voice carried across the decks. "The Council demanded our obedience." The crew answered as one. "We give them vengeance." The ship's engines roared to life. Back in the Council chamber, chaos spread among the delegates. Some shouted to punish Earth at once. Others warned against wasting resources. A few laughed, certain that humans were weak, their fleets too small, to resist the will of the galaxy. The High Speaker silenced them all with a gesture. His golden eyes burned. "They will pay. The humans will be an example to all." He raised his arms high. "Prepare the war fleets. Humanity will kneel, or humanity will burn." The chamber erupted in cheers and hisses. The Council believed the humans were already broken. They thought Earth would obey. None of them saw the human supercarriers leaving their docks. None of them knew that Earth had been waiting, silent and patient, for this very command. In a dim war room on Earth, generals gathered around a table lit with red light. Holographic stars burned above it, marking Council-controlled systems. General Vera spoke, her voice like steel. "The Council has declared their intention. They believe us weak. They believe we will bow." Her hand cut across the map, highlighting key Council worlds. "They are wrong. We will strike where it hurts. Shipyards, supply lines, their capital will learn fear." Around the table, no one spoke of peace. No one spoke of retreat. Humanity had made its choice. The Council wanted obedience. What they would receive was vengeance. That night, Joran Hale stood on his ship, watching the Council's shining world shrink into the distance. His hands rested behind his back, but his mind burned with fire. The voice of the High Speaker echoed in his memory. Humanity must obey. Joran whispered to himself, "No, you will obey us." And with that, Earth's ambassador vanished into the dark of space, carrying humanity's final reply. The quiet withdrawal the Galactic Council believed they had already won. To them, the human ambassador's silence was the silence of defeat. Alien news networks spread across the stars with bold headlines. Earth retreats from the Council. Humans fear the wrath of the galaxy. Another species learns its place. In markets and taverns across alien worlds, laughter followed every mention of humanity. Traders mocked Earth as weak. Soldiers sneered that humans had no stomach for war. Even friendly worlds turned their backs, afraid of being punished if they stood beside Earth. But behind the mocking voices, something else was happening. Something quiet. In the heart of Seoul, shipyards that looked abandoned suddenly flickered with life. Vast hangars opened in silence, releasing black warships that drifted into the shadows between planets. On Luna Base, engineers worked without rest, welding armor plates onto carriers that had been hidden for years. Their hands were quick, their voices low. "They think we're broken," one engineer said, tightening a bolt on a plasma turret. His partner smirked. "Good. Let them laugh." Across the colonies, human fleets quietly disappeared from public routes. Civilian transports flew as usual, but behind them, convoys carried weapons, fuel, and supplies towards secret rally points. In the asteroid belt, mining stations shut down suddenly. Workers vanished. But in the hollowed rocks, stockpiles of missiles and kinetic warheads waited like coiled snakes. Even Mars went dark. Its shipyards, once busy and noisy, fell silent to outside eyes. Yet deep underground, factories pounded night and day, forging weapons that had never been seen before. On Earth, leaders gathered in a sealed chamber beneath the United Defense Command. No cameras, no broadcasts, only shadows and grim faces lit by holographic stars. General Vera spoke first. "The Council believes our silence is surrender. Let them." A diplomat frowned. "But the other species are turning against us. The Council is uniting them. When they attack, they will attack," Vera interrupted coldly. "That was always their plan. But when they come, they will not find victims. They will find a predator waiting in the dark." Her words hung heavy in the room. No one argued. Meanwhile, on distant worlds, alien leaders mocked humanity openly. In the Council's grand chamber, the High Speaker declared, "Humanity has withdrawn. They are afraid. They are finished. Soon their fleets will kneel before us." Applause shook the chamber. No one noticed that Earth's ambassador had already vanished into deep space. No one asked where the human fleets had gone. They only saw silence. They mistook it for weakness. Admiral Kale Dren stood aboard the Iron Dawn, one of Earth's hidden supercarriers. From its observation deck, he looked out into the void where 100 ships floated silently in formation. Each was dark, running without lights, invisible to scanners. "Status?" he asked. A young officer replied, "The fleet is assembled, sir. Weapons are charged. Engines are quiet." Kyle nodded. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned. "Good. The Council believes we are finished. Let them believe it a little longer." He turned toward the vast star map projected before him, where Council-controlled worlds glowed in red. "We will not wait for their strike. When the time comes, we will burn their arrogance from the stars." On alien border stations, patrols noticed unusual movements, faint signatures of ships vanishing into deep space. Trade convoys rerouted without warning. Reports were sent to the Council, but they were dismissed. "Humans are retreating," the High Speaker said with confidence. "They run like prey. They are no threat." But a few alien commanders whispered uneasily among themselves. They had fought humans before, on the edges of forgotten wars. They remembered the stubbornness, the refusal to die, the way humans turned defeat into victory. "They are too quiet," one captain muttered. "Too patient." His warning was ignored. Back on Earth, night fell across the cities, but in orbit the sky was alive with silent shadows. Massive carriers drifted above the planet, their hulls black as midnight. Troop transports waited, soldiers strapped into their seats, eyes burning with grim resolve. For now, they waited. For now, the galaxy believed they had surrendered. But deep inside every human ship, one thought was shared by all. We do not kneel. We do not forget. We do not forgive. As the Galactic Council celebrated their victory, a storm was already forming in the dark. Humanity had pulled back, not to obey, but to prepare. The quiet withdrawal was not weakness. It was the calm before vengeance. The first strike. The stars above the council world of Valerian Prime shone calm and bright. Its cities glittered across the surface like jewels, proud symbols of the Galactic Council's power. Markets bustled, ships came and went, and no one worried. After all, who would dare to attack the very heart of the galaxy's rulers? Then, without warning, shadows appeared in orbit. A fleet of human warships slipped out of the void. They moved with eerie silence, black hulls gleaming like blades. No warning broadcasts, no declarations, only death waiting at the edge of the stars. On the surface, alarms screamed. Defense grids powered up, cannons turning toward the dark shapes above. The council's governors shouted orders. Identify the intruders. Impossible. They can't be humans. No human fleet is strong enough to be here. But the scanners did not lie. The intruders were human. Admiral Kale Dren stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, eyes locked on the planet below. His voice was calm, but his words cut like steel. They told us to kneel, he said. Today we answer. Targets locked, reported his weapons officer. Kyle raised his hand. Fire. The skies above Valerian Prime exploded. Railgun slugs, the size of buildings, tore through orbital stations. Plasma lances burned across the black, slicing alien warships in half. Kinetic rods fell from orbit like meteors, striking the surface with thunderous impact. Cities cracked, towers fell. Firestorms consumed entire districts. From orbit, the humans watched as panic spread. Council ships scrambled to defend the planet, but the first volley had already crippled their fleet. Explosions lit the heavens like suns, one after another. On the surface, terrified civilians fled through the streets. The once proud capital of the council shook under the storm. What do they want? Cried one alien governor. They didn't ask for tribute, another shouted. They didn't give demands. A third voice, trembling, whispered the truth. They came for vengeance. The Iron Dawn's comms filled with desperate transmissions from the council defenders. Human fleet, stand down. You are violating galactic law. This is madness. Stop at once. Kale listened, his face cold. Then he gave his only reply. Transmit one message across all channels. Let the galaxy hear it. The comm officer nodded, voice steady as he repeated the Admiral's words. They did not obey. Every species across the galaxy heard the transmission. On border, worlds traders froze as the message crackled through. In distant colonies, soldiers stared at each other in silence. The council had given their command. The humans had answered with fire. Back in the chamber of the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. Delegates screamed over one another, voices filled with shock and fury. They can't have such weapons. This is impossible. Valerian Prime is burning. The High Speaker slammed his claws against the table. Lies, fabrications, humanity cannot strike us so openly. But even as he shouted, live feeds filled the chamber screens. Flames consumed Valerian's cities. Council fleets were shattered wrecks drifting through orbit. The truth was undeniable. Humanity had struck. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Kale Dren gave the final order. Pull back. Leave nothing of their pride standing. The fleet disengaged, moving like phantoms into the void. Behind them, Valerian Prime smoldered. Its skies were black, its cities ruined. The first strike was complete. In taverns across the galaxy, the laughter at humanity's expense died. Fear replaced it. Whispers spread like wildfire. The humans have weapons no one has seen before. They've been planning this for years. They don't obey, they destroy. On Earth in the war chambers, General Vera listened to the reports. She spoke to her staff in a voice heavy with certainty. They mocked us, they demanded obedience, now their worlds burn. And this, she paused, looking at the hollow map filled with red council systems, is only the beginning. Far away, among the wreckage of Valerian Prime's orbit, a single alien transmission escaped the chaos. A wounded commander whispered into the dark. They are not weak. They were waiting. The message carried across the stars, a warning and a truth. But for many worlds it was already too late. Humanity's vengeance had begun. The fire spreads. The fall of Valerian Prime shook the galaxy. For centuries the Galactic Council had ruled, without challenge, their power unquestioned. Now one of their strongest worlds lay in ruins, burning under the shadow of human weapons. Across the stars, fear spread faster than fire. On border colonies, alien merchants whispered nervously. They said the humans would surrender, but they destroyed a council capital instead. If they can strike Valerion, they can strike anywhere. The laughter that once followed Earth's name was gone. In its place came silence. Meanwhile, humanity moved without hesitation. From hidden shipyards in Seoul, new fleets emerged. From the asteroid belt, convoys of war supplies slipped into the void. From Mars, black carriers roared to life, vanishing into hyperspace with soldiers strapped into their seats. The Council thought humans would hide after Valerian. Instead, the fire spread. The second strike fell on the shipyards of Thyros 9, a world famous for building war fleets. Its massive orbital rings glittered with thousands of construction bays, each berthing Council destroyers. When the human fleet arrived, there was no warning, no negotiation. Railguns thundered. Orbital rings cracked and fell like broken bones. Fires erupted across the sky as half-built ships were reduced to molten wrecks. By the time Council reinforcements arrived, the humans were gone, leaving only silence and ash. The third strike came days later. This time it was not a fleet or a shipyard. It was a communications hub that linked half the galaxy together. Human stealth frigates slipped past defenses, planting charges deep in the station's core. One explosion silenced thousands of systems. Across the galaxy, messages froze mid-sentence. Fleets lost contact with their command. Colonies were cut off from one another. Chaos spread in the confusion. In the war chambers of Earth, General Vera watched the reports flow in. Her voice was steady, her eyes cold. They wanted obedience, instead they are blind. They are deaf. They are afraid. Around her, commanders nodded. No one questioned the strategy. Humanity was not only striking, they were dismantling the galaxy piece by piece. In the council chamber, panic boiled over. "We must unite our fleets," shouted one delegate. "They strike too quickly, we cannot predict them," cried another. "They know our weak points," whispered a third. "As if they have studied us for centuries." The high speaker slammed the table, his voice trembling with rage. "They will not break us, humanity will be crushed." But the council members saw the truth in their data streams. Every day another world fell. Every day, humanity's shadow grew larger. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Admiral Cale Dren stood with his hands behind his back, watching the stars burn in his maps. "Reports confirm," his officer said. "Council fleets are retreating to defend their capitals. Their outer colonies are undefended." Cale's jaw tightened. "Good. Let the fire spread. Let them feel the fear they once demanded from us." The fleet moved again, silent and ruthless. In taverns and barracks across the galaxy, alien soldiers whispered nervously. Some refused to fight humans at all. "They don't fight like us," one muttered. "They strike, vanish, and strike again. They want revenge, not victory." But others clenched their weapons tighter, their eyes burning with fear and anger. "If humanity wins, none of us are safe." Meanwhile, human soldiers prepared for the next strike. On board troop transports, they checked rifles, adjusted armor, and shared grim words. One soldier whispered, "They thought we'd kneel." Another answered, "Now they'll burn." The ship roared as it jumped into hyperspace, carrying them toward the next target. The galaxy was learning too late. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not obedient. Humanity was vengeance, and vengeance was spreading like fire. And as the flames consumed one world after another, a single message echoed across the stars, whispered by survivors and burned into records. They did not obey. The Council fractures. The once proud chamber of the Galactic Council no longer echoed with confidence. Instead, it was filled with fear, shouting, and bitter accusations. Delegates slammed their fists, claws, and wings against the tables. Holographic displays showed burning worlds, broken fleets, and shattered colonies. Everywhere the map glowed, red marked with systems struck by humanity's vengeance. "This cannot be happening," one delegate screamed. "They are only one species," cried another. "They strike us like they know every weakness," whispered a third. The High Speaker tried to silence the room, but even his booming voice could not hide the tremor of fear. "Order! Order in this chamber!" Behind closed doors, the Council was breaking apart. Some species demanded immediate peace with Earth. "We must negotiate," their leaders insisted. "Better to bend than to burn." Others spat at the idea. "Surrender to primitives? Never. We must unite and crush them." But even as they shouted, their fleets were being torn apart, their worlds consumed by fire. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Admiral Cale Dren listened to intercepted transmissions. His officers reported every argument, every crack forming in the Council's unity. "They're turning on each other," one officer said. "Some blame the High Speaker. Others blame their allies. No one trusts anyone." Kyle's lips pressed into a thin line. Good. Fear divides faster than warships. In distant systems, alien governors faced impossible choices. On Tiraxis, the ruling council surrendered before the humans even arrived, broadcasting a desperate plea. "We will not resist. Spare our people." On Krelthor, alien soldiers refused to fight, abandoning their posts as human fleets drew near. But on Draxion, the council loyalists stood firm. They raised their banners, swearing to fight humanity to the last breath. Their resistance lasted only 3 days before their capital turned to ash. The fractures spread. Alliances that had held for centuries snapped under the weight of human vengeance. Worlds that once mocked Earth now begged for neutrality. Others prepared to switch sides, whispering offers of support to hidden human envoys. The Council, once feared, was now drowning in doubt. In the war chambers of Earth, General Vera studied the reports. Her officers watched her in silence as she marked collapsing systems one by one. "They thought their unity was unbreakable," she said. "But fear is stronger than loyalty. Their empire will fall without us touching half their fleets." She looked around the table, her voice sharp. "We strike again. Each blow will widen the cracks." The room echoed with a single word. "Yes." In the council chamber, the High Speaker roared in fury. "Cowards, traitors, do you not see? If humanity wins, we all fall." But his voice no longer carried the same power. Many delegates turned their eyes away, unwilling to meet his gaze. Some whispered, "Perhaps humanity deserves respect." Others muttered, "Perhaps they were right to fight." The speaker's claws clenched. He could feel his power slipping. Meanwhile, Admiral Cale prepared his next move. His fleet floated in the void, dark and silent, waiting for his command. He stared at the stars, his voice quiet but firm. "They thought we would kneel," he said. "Instead, we made them fracture. Let their own fear finish what our guns began." His officers nodded, eyes burning with resolve. The humans were not just fighting. They were dismantling an empire piece by piece. On alien streets, whispers spread among ordinary people. Humans do not kneel. They strike and vanish. They are burning the council from within. And, for the first time in centuries, some began to hope the council might actually fall. But deep in the council chamber, the High Speaker gave his final command. His golden eyes blazed with fury as he shouted, "Summon every fleet. Gather every soldier. Humanity will not break us, we will crush them." His words echoed, but fewer voices answered. The council was no longer one. It was breaking. And in the silence between their arguments, the humans moved again. Worlds in ashes. The human fleets no longer hid. They moved openly now, cutting through council space like blades through cloth. Entire systems fell in days, their defenses shattered before they could even call for help. On Ravos Prime, the night sky turned red as kinetic strikes rained down. Towers crumbled, cities cracked, and millions fled into the deserts. The council had promised protection, but no one came. Only silence, and then the fire. On Zerath, a council fortress world, fleets gathered to resist. For 3 days, the skies thundered with battle. Alien ships swarmed, outnumbering the humans 5-1. But when the smoke cleared, only the black banners of Earth remained. The fortress was nothing but ruins. Survivors whispered in disbelief. They don't stop. They don't break. They fight until nothing stands. Admiral Cale Dren stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, his eyes cold as he watched another council world burn. His voice carried across the command deck. They wanted us to kneel. Now their suns rise over ashes. His officers answered as one. For Earth. For vengeance. In the council chamber, despair spread. Reports flooded in. Lost colonies, destroyed fleets, surrendered worlds. This is madness, cried one delegate. They are not fighting for peace, shouted another. They are fighting for vengeance, whispered a third. The high speaker's voice shook with fury. Then we will meet vengeance with annihilation. Gather the last of our strength. But even as he spoke, more allies turned away. Some species abandoned the council entirely, sealing their borders, unwilling to die for a cause that was already lost. On Earth, General Vera listened to the battle reports. Her commanders stood silent as she studied the maps filled with red burning worlds. They mocked us, she said. They demanded obedience. We gave them fire. And still, they will not learn. Her hand swept across the galaxy map, marking the council's capital. Then we will teach them. The heart of their empire will burn next. The room was silent. Every commander knew what that meant. The end of the war, one way or another. On alien streets across the galaxy, ordinary citizens trembled. Once, the Yar, name of Earth, was a joke. Now it was a curse whispered in fear. Where will they strike next? Who will they burn? Is anyone safe? Worlds surrendered before a single human ship arrived, lowering their banners in hopes of mercy. But mercy was not what drove humanity forward. The fire spread world after world, leaving nothing but silence behind. Admiral Cale's fleet gathered at the edge of council space. Hundreds of ships floated in perfect silence, their engines dark, their weapons ready. Kyle stood at the front of the bridge, staring at the map of the final target. Their fleets are broken, his officer said. Their worlds are in ashes. Only the capital remains. Kyle's jaw tightened. Then we finish it. He raised his hand, and the order echoed across the fleet. Prepare for the final strike. In the council chamber, panic erupted as scouts reported humanity's fleet moving toward them. They come here, cried one delegate. We must flee, shouted another. No, roared the high speaker. His golden eyes blazed. We fight to the last. This is our empire. We will not fall. But even as he shouted, fear spread among the council's own guards. The galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had come, and nothing could stop them now. From my orbit above the council's capital, the sky began to darken. Not from clouds, but from the shadows of human supercarriers. They blotted out the suns, turning daylight into night. Civilians screamed in the streets below. Soldiers readied weapons with shaking hands. The council's final fortress was surrounded. On the Iron Dawn, Admiral Cale spoke the words that carried across every channel, every world, every frightened soul in the galaxy. They demanded our obedience. They will remember our vengeance. And with that, the fire spread to the heart of the empire. The price of defiance. The skies above the council's capital were no longer blue. They were black, swallowed by the shadows of human supercarriers. The great city below, once a beacon of alien power, trembled as sirens wailed through every street. Civilians fled to shelters. Soldiers gripped their weapons with shaking hands, staring up at the vast silhouettes blotting out the suns. In the council chamber, fear had turned into chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, some begging to surrender, others demanding to fight. "They cannot destroy us all," one cried. "They already have," another shouted. "We must kneel before it is too late." The high speaker rose, his golden eyes burning with fury. "Silence! Humanity will not break us. We are the council. We rule the stars." But even as he spoke, explosions thundered in orbit. Human fleets opened fire. Railguns and plasma cannons lit the sky, tearing through the last defenses. Council warships crumbled under the storm, their fragments raining like fire into the atmosphere. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Admiral Cale Dren stood tall, his voice calm and cold. "They wanted us to kneel," he said. "Now they will kneel. In ashes." "Targets locked," his officer reported. Cale raised his hand. "Begin the bombardment." From orbit, humanity unleashed its vengeance. Kinetic strikes fell like meteors, shattering defense towers. Firestorms ripped through military zones. Entire districts vanished in seconds, turned to burning rubble. The council chamber shook as the city outside burned. The delegates cowered, their proud voices gone. The high speaker staggered, clutching the edge of his throne as the walls cracked. "This cannot be," he roared. "We are eternal," but his words were drowned by another explosion that shattered the horizon. Meanwhile, on the surface, alien civilians cried out as human dropships descended. Armored soldiers poured into the city, their boots striking the streets with unshakable rhythm. They moved without hesitation, securing key structures, silencing resistance. One alien soldier dropped his weapon, falling to his knees before the advancing humans. "Mercy," he begged. The human commander's voice was steel. "You showed us none. The price of defiance is paid in fire." The alien wept as the humans marched past, unstoppable. Inside the burning council chamber, the high speaker gave his final command. "All ships, all soldiers, fight to the last breath." But few obeyed. Many fled. Others surrendered. The once mighty empire had no unity left. The chamber doors burst open. Human soldiers entered, rifles raised, eyes burning with grim resolve. "You High speaker fell back, his pride crumbling at last. "You cannot rule without us," he shouted. "You are nothing without the council." Admiral Cale's hologram appeared in the chamber, his voice echoing through the ruined hall. "We never wanted your rule," he said coldly, "but you demanded our obedience. Now your obedience means nothing." The high speaker's final roar was drowned out as the chamber collapsed around him. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The council was broken, its capital burned. Humanity stood victorious. On border worlds, aliens whispered in fear. The council is gone. Humans shattered them. What happens now? Some lowered their banners, swearing loyalty to Earth. Others sealed their borders, terrified that the fire might spread to them. But all understood one truth. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was vengeance, and vengeance had won. On Earth, General Vera stood in the war chamber, watching as the last red marker on the holomap vanished. The council's capital was gone. She spoke quietly, but her words carried weight. They thought we would obey. They thought they ruled us. Now their worlds burn, and the galaxy remembers. Her officers saluted. None smiled. This was not victory filled with joy. It was victory filled with fire. In the silence that followed, Admiral Cale's voice echoed across the stars, transmitted to every world. This is humanity's answer. We kneel to no one. Remember Valerian. Remember the fire. Remember the price of defiance. The broadcast ended, and across the galaxy, fear settled deep. Cale stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, watching the burning planet below. His jaw was hard, his eyes unflinching. They wanted us to bow, he whispered. Now the stars bow to us. Behind him, the fleet drifted in silence, black banners of Earth glowing against the fire. The galaxy was forever changed. The council was no more. and humanity's vengeance had written its name in the stars.